Hey guys, how is everybody doing? Today we're going to be talking about Battlefield 2042's movement and some of these complaints I've been seeing across the internet, particularly on Reddit and Twitter, and even sometimes YouTube comments. I will be using some of my own clips to demonstrate some of the movement. Apologies, some of these clips might be duplicates. You might have seen these before, but as everyone knows, you cannot play the 2042 beta anymore, so I kind of have what I have to work with, you know? So, 2042's movement. What do people have problems with? Before we get into the juicier stuff, I just want to point out that I do agree with some of the criticism regarding the removal of some features, like the falling roll, the ability to grab ledges, and stuff like that. But as far as all the other complaints, I really do think people have no idea what they're talking about, and I hope to demonstrate that in this video. So, a lot of the big complaints I see are separated into categories. We have the people that are complaining about the speed of the movement. We have the people that are complaining about the slide. We have the people that are complaining about the jumping. And then we have the people that are complaining about everything that I just mentioned. On top of the fact that they're also complaining about features being removed, which is more justifiable than the last few I just listed, but we're going to go through all of those I just mentioned, and I'll explain why I think there really isn't a problem with Battlefield 2042's movement, and I don't think it's overpowered in the slightest. So let's talk about why Battlefield 2042's movement speed is not an issue at all. I think people are forgetting this is the largest Battlefield game ever produced. The maps are absolutely gigantic. Fuck huge, if you will. I believe that is a term used to describe something absolutely massive, and I think it's applicable here. If the movement speed was any slower, the game pace would be even slower than it already is, and I really don't think that would be a benefit to the game at all, especially when it comes to attracting people outside of Battlefield games, which, like I said before, that is what DICE and EA are really trying to do with this, whether you like it or not. As far as the speed of the movement, when it comes to aiming at it, I didn't have any issues at all, and I honestly didn't hear many people that are half decent complain about it either. So I think a lot of these complaints, unfortunately, are rooted in people being bad at the game, and I think that we have to address that, and I do unfortunately think that is where a lot of these complaints come from all the time when you talk about movement. Another thing people were complaining about was the slide. They were saying that it's quote-unquote ridiculous and quote-unquote doesn't belong in a Battlefield game. You guys know the whole thing. You know, they regurgitate it for fucking years about Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 slide. People were asking to make the slide like Battlefield 1. Essentially what that means is they want the slide removed, because that's essentially what they did in Battlefield 1. You can slide in Battlefield 1, as in there's a bind for it, but does it actually do anything? No, it doesn't. It essentially is completely useless, as they destroyed the slide in Battlefield 1. And the slide in Battlefield 2042 is absolutely not overpowered, as it is really only viable when used as a engage in a fight, or strung together with other movement, such as jumping into a slide or sliding downhill or stuff like that. Sometimes when I see people complain about the slide in Battlefield 2042, it's as if people are sliding 3 or 4 times mid-gunfight and then grapple hook onto a helicopter while, like, crouch spamming in midair. That just doesn't happen. Many clips that I've gotten, I've only slid maybe once, and that was specifically to gain speed in order to engage a fight, and I certainly did not slide during a fight very often. So, again, I really don't understand where these complaints are coming from. It is completely fine. The slide speed is not an issue, in my opinion, and it certainly isn't overpowered in the sense that it makes you too difficult to hit. I mean, I didn't have any problem hitting anybody, and that was with glitched mouse input, and I also didn't really see many people complaining about whether or not sliding was difficult to hit. And you know why? Because sliding didn't happen in gunfights. But something that did happen in gunfights was jumping. Now, jumping in gunfights is not new. This is actually a very, very old thing in video games. You know, you've been able to jump in gunfights in so many different titles. I can't even really name them all. But let's go over how Battlefield 2042 jumping in gunfights work. So, the best way I found to move or engage a fight, if you're going around a corner in Battlefield 2042, is to first sprint, slide, and at the end of your slide, jump, and then as you land, you can jump 2 more times with kept momentum and after the second jump, you basically go to a standstill. Now, people call that bunny hopping, but I don't really think they know what bunny hopping is, because that is quite clearly just you jumping twice after you slid, and then you come to a standstill. This should not be changed at all. It wasn't overpowered. If you killed me when I was doing that, you definitely deserve the kill, and it definitely added a skill gap when it comes to movement. Now, unfortunately, like I said before, a lot of the people complaining about movement are simply just complaining about the movement because they're not good at the game. And I don't really think we should listen to those people, because if you're going to ruin your game's movement in order to please people that can't aim, what are you doing? And one of the final complaints I see a lot of the time is people are complaining about quote-unquote AD spamming. Let me tell you something. There was no AD spam in this game. Even when using McKay, who has a passive ability that retains movement speed while aiming down weapon sights, there was no AD spam. It was still quite a slow side-to-side strafe. So I genuinely have no idea what people are talking about when they say AD spam. Maybe they should go watch some Quake and then get back to me, because Quake has real AD spam. If you want to look at that. Battlefield 2042 does not have AD spam. And I think this is really one of those things where if you're complaining about that, you are actually just bad. And your opinion means nothing to me anymore. The strafe speed was slower than Battlefield 5's, which was already very slow, and I don't think this is an issue at all. But I do think some things that people bring up are valid with the movement. The removal of ledge grabbing and the removal of the ability to roll to reduce fall damage. I think that needs to be added to the game, just, to keep the movement consistent over titles. And people were also complaining that the movement was a bit jittery in close quarters, and that's not really to do with the movement, that's more to do with like some weird glitch where, I don't know, maybe there's some networking things happening, but they need to smooth things over with that. Other than that, I feel as though the movement was completely fine, and a lot of the complaints are unjustified and come from a position of them being bad at the game. And I'm sorry if you disagree with that, but if you look at the movement and compare it to similar titles, you will see that it is not only very similar to similar titles, but you'll probably find that it's even slower than similar titles. And I do not believe that it is an issue. So let me guys know what you think in the comments section. I might just get torn apart for this. I'm not really sure, but hey, hopefully my clips in the background will show you that it's really not that crazy, and that the people that are flying across the map or running very fast and stringing movement together deserve to string the movement together because they're mechanically talented and are outskilling you. This is what's referred to as a skill gap, and I think people are freaking out about that. So, I've been Enders, and I will see you guys later.
I need to get up fucking top and keep this corner. So many places they can jump on me right now. Please let me out, please let me out, please let me out, please let me out. So makes me mess, but okay. Alright, we've cleared B.